Okay, good afternoon. Today is Sunday, May 26th, 2024, and we're at the Japanese American Society of Fort Worth. Can you please introduce the group that you are a part of first?
Our group, again, we are part of the Fort Worth Japanese Society. Our group is called Dondoko Taiko.
And can you tell us a little bit about the background of the group, the history of the group?
Sure. Dondoko Taiko started in about 1995. It was started by Asako Cosby, who's a Japanese lady that lived in this area. She was instrumental in getting a lot of our drums, our taiko drums from Japan, also instrumental in getting the coats that we wear, which are called hoppy coats. So she had all these connections to Japan, so she started up the group. And it's been ongoing group since the 1995. I joined in about 2000 with my son Aaron, who's here today. We joined to do a father and son activity together, and thinking that we were going to do for 2 or 3 years, and here we are 20 years later still playing taiko drums. So the size of our group, when we started we had 12 or so members, and it's gone up and down, and at one point in time we were down to just me and Aaron, and we kept the group going and encouraged people to join. And today we have about 15 members who play in our group and show up at practice on a regular basis. And we play at all various events throughout the Metroplex area. Our two events that are main events are our fall and spring festival at the Fort Worth Japanese Gardens. But we play at all different events throughout the Metroplex, weddings, various places throughout the Metroplex.
Okay, great. And can you please tell us your name?
My name is David Bakudis.
Okay, great. And Aaron?
Aaron Bakudis.
Anything else you want to say about yourself?
I sort of like he said, I never thought I'd do this for this long, but it's just really fun, great exercise. It gets me out of the house. I get to go different places, have a lot of different experiences, so I've stuck through. That's why I've stuck through thick and thin.
My name is Ashley Coles. I just joined the group last fall, so I'm real fresh. I'd actually been wanting to do taiko for a long time since I saw a group performing in Tucson, one of their community taiko groups. And but I was busy with all sorts of other activities at the time, and I had been seeing this group play at the Japanese festivals every year. But what kind of got me into it was one, during COVID, the music groups that I was playing with before dissolved. And so I am a musician. I have been missing playing with other people quite a lot. I'm also a martial artist, and the physicality of taiko was very attractive to me. I love dancing too. So for me, it checked so many of the boxes that I was actually trying to connect with the Japanese Society with respect to my martial arts organization, and opened up the website and saw they had beginner lessons for a very reasonable price, and I was like, oh, signed up. And so I took the beginner class, fell in love with it, and it's a fun thing. I enjoy things.
My name is Delaney Hart. I've been a member for, I guess, a little over a year now. I'm not sure. Yeah. So I'm also a musician and a musicologist. My master's degree is in musicology. And I'm always interested in trying new musical experiences, but my interest in Japanese music and Japanese traditional music started in high school when I played with the Fort Worth Youth Orchestra, and they had an opportunity to go with the Fort Worth Sister Cities group to Nagaoka as a part of, I think it was the 25th anniversary of their relationship. And we got to play with Japanese youth orchestra there and experience a lot of cultural events. So that sort of sparked an interest in traveling abroad and learning about different cultures, different musical styles. So later, after going to college, I came back after grad school and went to the Fall Japanese Festival and learned that Dondoko Taiko was looking for new members and thought that seems like a really fun musical experience, kind of combining some of my old interests in Japanese music, Japanese culture with my general interest in just music. The physicality also really appealed to me. It's very different from, I play violin and piano, and it was just something very new, different, kind of outside of my comfort zone. So I thought I'd give it a try.
So, what were your first impressions of taiko, and how did you encounter it? I mean, you've talked a little bit about it, but for the rest of you, when was the first time you heard taiko, and what were your first impressions?
Well, kind of like Delaney, Aaron and I saw the taiko group at the Japanese Festival in sometime in 2000, and so we joined. And
I had heard about groups like Kodo before.
Mm-hmm.
I had been out to actually see them. I've seen them on TV and stuff. But yeah, that was the first time we saw it live.
Yeah.
It was at the Japanese Festival.
Well, like I said earlier, the leader of the group was Osako Cosby. Osako Cosby was about 5'4", 5'2", a short lady, but she was a fire pistol, and she led the practices. And she always laughs later on. She said, I never thought that David would stay because she was always yelling at me. And because I was always playing something wrong. And unlike the lady and Ashley, I had no musical background, and so it was a matter of just memorizing the songs. And but again, like everybody said, I just enjoy playing, and I enjoy being with the group. Delaney mentioned Nagaoka, which is our sister city with Fort Worth. A few years back, our group actually went to Nagaoka, the taiko group, and we played in a taiko festival there. We played with 150 other drummers in the streets of Nagaoka, so that was talking about experience and stuff like that. If I hadn't joined taiko, I definitely would never have done that.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Other first impressions?
Well, actually, so the thing that David mentioned about the fact that we came in as musicians, I think that's actually been a challenge for us, or it has for me for sure, being classically trained and learn how to read sheet music, and beyond that, I had started learning how to improvise, but this was very different. It was very challenging for me initially, in particular, to just, okay, play this, and then there's a rhythm, and I'm like, I don't think I got that. And so having to learn how to listen and memorize music that's being transferred in that direction, in that manner, I should say, rather than by reading sheet music and learning it that way has been very difficult for me and frustrating for me. And but it's a new skill that I'm developing, and I'm very appreciative of that opportunity. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's been very interesting, is the fact that taiko has more of a oral notation, so it's more spoken rather than written down. Like, you can transcribe it, but it still is usually taught orally and orally, which I guess in a way also makes it less permanent in nature, which can be a detriment for, like I mentioned, like if a group dissolves, then if they haven't written down their music, it is kind of a concern.
Yeah, you had mentioned groups that go out of existence. We were kind of semi-sponsored by the Nagaoka group, which is called Yuku Taiko, and we understand that they have stopped playing, and which is really unfortunate. And but I think we've carried on the tradition because we play two of the songs that they kind of written in our group. So again, even though they've kind of gone out of existence, we've kind of carried that tradition on. Yeah.
So, what is the training like? I mean, taiko groups in the U.S. have very, very different types of training. There are so Taiko is known for how rigorous it is, and other groups are much more relaxed. What's training here like, and has it changed over the years since you joined at different times?
Definitely has changed. Like I said, when I started, it was pretty strict, and we had rules. We had all kinds of stuff, and like I said, Osako was very taskmaster and getting things done. But again, I am actually surprised I stuck it out. But now, you know, and I don't know if it was reaction to that or not, but you know, I've always kind of been trying to say, hey, you know, we want new members to stay around. You know, and I'm so thankful for Ashley and Delaney for sticking it out. I said, not trying to make it laborious or, you know, I want to make it, hey, something that's fun, interesting, that you would keep coming back, you know, practices. And like I said, Ashley and Delaney are so good about playing at what I call our extra shows that we play at. And so at least I hope we have made it less stringent than it was when Aaron and I joined, so, you know, now 20 years ago.
What are some of, do you have any memories you want to share of this rigor or and some of these rules? Or
Well, you know, like I said, Osako.
Aaron knows some of the
Osako, you know, she would watch, and she would, you know, not criticize, it was wrong. Well, I mean, it was criticize. Criticize everything that we do if we didn't do it perfectly right, you know, how you hold the sticks, how you drum, how you stand, and your stance. And I can still hear her voice in my ear, David, you're doing it wrong. And so, you know, but I will say this, even though she was a very strict taskmaster, over the years, you know, 10, 15 years into it, she and I actually became very good friends. In fact, to the point, maybe too good of her friends, because she would just show up at my house all the time. but I still have very fond memories of her, you know, even though she was very strict in the way we had to learn taiko back then. But
Yeah, she yelled at us, but she was always there to tie her obi.
she was
Or-
yep.
Good. That's pretty much she was the only one who could do it right. So.
Yeah. Our obis are the belts that we wear,
Yeah.
and there's if she was looking down on me, I know she'd be yelling at me because I don't do it right. But you know, there was a very strict way in which you had to do that. And these girls, they're good at it, but I just tie a knot and get going. But
Ashley and Delaney, what are your impressions of beyond notation and oral transmission? What are your other impressions or memories of early times playing?
I mean, I think there's a good balance between structure and play, where we can be a little bit flexible if we need to keep going over something. But you know, we do. Well, Casey's the one who leads the classes. She comes in with a lesson plan. Basically, we're going to do this song and this song, and so she's looking at the clock and making sure that we leave time to do the things that she wanted to accomplish. But at the same time, we can get chatty at times and things like that. There's room for that, I think, in the group, and we get along really well. I haven't seen any conflict between any members, so that's been really nice too. And I think that kind of facilitates that. You know, it's not like super top-down strict, but since we're all kind of working toward a goal, we're all like, oh, we need to get back on task. Yep, we're all in. You know, and so you know, we're quick to respond to that. If we let ourselves get sidetracked, we can be brought back to it really easily because we're all trying to work to achieve something that's really lovely. So.
Yeah, I know Casey's not here, and she's kind of like our unofficial musical director. She, as Ashley said, she leads our practices and you know, teaches the songs to the new members, and she does a great job of doing that. I wish she was here. Well, I wish you could see one of the practices that she has. I just love Casey because she has she uses all these analogies. I call it the Casey analogies about, I can't think of any, but yeah, she said, do it like this, it's like.
Like like strawberry ice cream.
Yes,
I like
strawberry.
it, yeah. So like different, giving lyrics to certain rhythms to help you remember
The
the rhythm.
rhythm, yeah, so.
It works.
It really helps, yeah.
Yeah.
I've made up a few of my own too, just for certain things that didn't have something assigned. I was like, I got this.
So,
Yeah, we've kind of made it so that it's based off of how hard you want to push yourself. Like we also split our rehearsals. There's we just added a new advanced section that we all go to. So if you really want to, learn new music and more challenging pieces, you can go to that. But if you, want to have just more relaxed rehearsals, you can just go to the intermediate and beginning sections. But yeah, I suppose one of the things I remember from when I started was I used to only, whenever I worked out, I used to only be like a runner and really focus on leg strength. After starting Taiko, I now have added arms and upper body to my workouts.
Yeah. So can we talk a bit about your rehearsal schedule? So you have, according to the internet,
Yep.
you start with the advanced meeting and then the intermediate meeting and then the beginners meeting.
Right.
How does that work? Like,
I think we just changed it recently. I think we decided we're not instead of advanced, it's going. Casey said she's teaching other instruments.
Right.
For the summer, yeah.
Yeah, for the advanced. And again, like I said, years ago, rehearsals were very, very extremely informal. In fact, we didn't have to break down like we do now. But again, thanks to Casey kind of brought more structure to our practice than we did in the past. And we have like 3 sections. We have what we call the advanced, but now we turn the advanced into learning other instruments. Besides just drumming, we have teaching the flute, which is flute, and Ashley's really good on that. And we have the cymbal or chapas, and so other instruments that we're trying to learn and make a part of our group. So that's kind of like our first group. And then the second group is basically everybody that's been in the group for a while, that'll show up. We call our intermediate group, where we go over, we have a core 7 or 8 songs that we know. And then we have our advanced group, which are basically people here, with Casey, and we try to learn some newer songs as far as the advanced group. So that's kind of what our structure is now. Although it is, like I say, it's certainly not like in the old days, but it certainly isn't like when Aaron and I were in charge, where it was very, very informal. But,
And then after that there's the beginners, when we have, new people coming in.
Correct.
It's usually Casey teaching the basics.
Right.
right. So do the intermediate and the advanced, do they play the same music, or do they?
Generally yes.
Yeah, the advanced class just, when they restarted it, added a song, and then we introduced that song after the more advanced parts were learned. We brought it into the intermediate class and taught the more basic parts to the other people who hadn't joined advanced. So that was one way to kind of, to be able to have the whole group play the song, but get a little further for the parts that were a little more challenging before bringing it into the rest of the group. Although I don't know, the part has fewer notes, but I don't think it's less challenging because there's like weird numbers of gaps between them. And anyway, it's.
Well, if you get a video of our last spring festival, we introduced it at that festival, Shimpu. I thought it turned out great. It's a great song.
It's fun.
So obviously Taiko is a very large community in the U.S. and they're actually very well organized. Do you take part in any of the conferences or other like cross-group events? I don't know if the Dallas-Fort Worth area has local meetings or.
Yes. There is a smaller group here that's kind of an offshoot of our group. I won't go into the reason why they're the offshoot, but it has nothing to do with Sacco. But anyway, and so it's led by a guy named Sean, and he has a group, and so he does. But he does more. Our group, we do more of the traditional Taiko. Sean has more experimental, new sounds and everything else. There is a group in Dallas as well But like us, they've kind of gone up and down in membership, and plus they're not as fortunate as us where we have a place to practice and they have to rent, so it's difficult for them. But we actually have been trying recently to try to get together with them. We did, last fall, or I forget when we got together. But we kind of, everybody came here, and we had a jam session, a taiko jam session with everybody, so that was fun. And we're trying to schedule something in July again with these other groups and people. But there's other groups in Texas. There used to be a group in Houston, but again, like us, they went up and down in membership. As you say, if you lose members, then you lose the group. There used to be a group out in San Antonio, and I think they're totally gone away now. So it is, one of the things I like being a part of this group, I think, as you mentioned, is to keep this music alive, keep this, going, and besides, our personal reasons for doing this, we keep this music alive in this area.
Yeah. Are there local colleges with programs? Because a lot of taikos have the colleges become the feeder groups of the community groups, right? So is there something like that?
We tried, not per se, really. We've done a lot of stuff with TCU, haven't we?
We've kind of, I'm sorry for doing all the talking, but that's my job as
He's
a
the
lawyer.
You've been around.
I've been around. As Aaron said, when we were down to like 2 or 3 members, I reached out to all the local colleges, and they all have Asian groups of something. I said, hey, come out and join us. Zero people came. I was all disappointed. But as Aaron says, we have played at TCU for various events, and we played. Was it last year we played? You were with us, Delaney, weren't you? When we did, or am I misremembering all these things? But they had a really nice event at TCU, and we played there. So.
So, what are your can you give me one story of your deepest memory? Very good memory or very difficult memory of being a part of Dondoko?
I'll start. My favorite memory, I have lots of memories, obviously being with the group for 20 years, but we went to Nagaoka to play at the festival, and at that time Asako was still alive, and her son made me promise that I would look after her, make sure she wasn't injured. Well, she fell down some stairs, got injured, but she was okay. But when we played at this festival, we played with 150 other drummers. So we came out the day before and practiced, and we knew some of the songs because some of the songs they had written for us. So we practiced and we were all ready, and they told us to be there a couple hours early because we all had to get in our outfits, our uniforms and stuff like this. Well, one thing that was a little unusual about the culture of Japan is that they had different expectations of modesty. Everybody was just changing their uniforms in this big room, practice room.
Yeah,
which
the
was
men. It was okay for the men to change for the women. Women had their own.
Yeah, but then they brought out these cases and cases of beer and sake, and then we drunk for about an hour and a half before we went out and played on the streets of Nagaoka. But anyway, that was one of my favorite experiences. One other one I will tell. A couple years later, we had some people from Japan doing the fireworks for our 4th of July here in Fort Worth. And the 4th of July fireworks in Fort Worth is a big deal. Big deal. So they came out and we played taiko before the fireworks went off. But they told us that there were 80,000 people there. So we played in front of taiko for 80,000 people on this stage in the middle there. So that was kind of fun. The only thing that was interesting about that, they sawed off the fireworks from Japan and they started a fire, but other than that. Okay, I'm not going to talk anymore. I'll let everybody else talk.
You took the stories I'm going to tell. But yeah, I guess can offer my own spin on them.
Your own spin on it.
Yeah, so I've actually been twice. He just went one time to Japan, but I went to the other trip. We went to Japan with some members that aren't with us anymore. So I thought it was a once in a lifetime opportunity to play there, but I've had it twice. So that's definitely, I got to see the people I met the first time when I went back, and not much to say about that. Basically, what he said.
Well, I've been in such a short time that I don't have quite so profound of memories, but I will say that there have been a couple of occasions where this group has really allowed me to do the thing that I love to do, which is jump in way over my head. And it's happened so many times now that it's funny. So I did the beginner class, which is 9 weeks, one practice per week. And then they're like, okay, well, at the end of the class, you're performing in the fall festival. And I was like, I have learned one song. And they said, yeah, that's fine. You can sit out of the songs you don't know. So we eventually learned a couple other ones before the end of the class finally. But and then they were like, okay, but there's these 2 new ones that you haven't learned yet. We've got 2 weeks before the performance. So you can just play the G, which is just this backup rhythm. I'm like, okay, that's fine. How do I know when to stop? And so I was just kind of like, so we kind of figure out a way to know when to stop playing, because otherwise I was just, and then done. Okay. So there was that example, and there was another example. Well, and then right after that, they were like, oh, and we're thinking of starting an advanced class, and I was like, I'm in. Just fresh out of beginner class, straight to advanced and intermediate at the same time, and then there was a performance that we did for the Rotary Club.
Oh, yeah.
And I showed up, and we're putting the drums out on stage, and it was very relaxed compared to our fall festival and performance that we had just done. But at some point, everybody's like, wait, who's playing what? Because sometimes we'll trade off parts, and sometimes you play one type of drum, and sometimes you play another, and it's different parts, and so you have to learn both parts or whatever. So I was like, okay, everyone go stand in front of a drum real quick. So I ended up standing in front of the Odaiko, which is on the stand, which I had never done in practice before. I had learned the part just by virtue of being in the class, and we practiced it, but on the other one. So I was like, all right, cool, I'm going to perform on a drum I've never played before. This is exciting. This is fine. It's totally fine. And it was totally fine. But yeah, so it's these kinds of moments where it's like really pushing yourself, but in a really fun way, that I do that kind of stuff all the time, so I love it.
Yeah, it really, I also haven't been in the group for that long, so don't have super far back or deep memories, but yeah, there's a lot of opportunities to really sort of jump outside of your comfort zone, which is something that I had really looked for. Like, I think one of my first performances with the group, I only knew one of the songs, really, and they also said just play the G. But it was at a school, and we do a lot of gigs at like schools, and those are some of my favorite memories, like fondest memories, especially for like elementary age kids, because they just look at you with such wonder, because it's so loud, but they think it's so cool, and it's such a special like connection to have with these kids, and I think it's a really great experience for us, but it's a really great experience for these kids to be exposed to something totally new and different. And maybe they'll learn about something that'll interest them more, and they'll research more about it. Maybe they'll join us in the future when they're older. I think it's really great that a lot of the schools in the area sort of try to connect with us and some of the other groups like that. But yeah, the looks of awe on little kids' faces are some of my fondest memories.
You know, I have to comment on what Ashley said, because in the old days, a long time ago, when Asako, if you didn't know the song perfectly, she would not let you play it. And so we go, and you just have to sit on the side, you know. And I was like so upset about that, because I thought, oh, you know, hey, these people volunteer their time to come out here, practice and all that, you know, if they want, you know. Of course, Casey now yells at me that I force people like Ashley to go out and play. I try not to, but I don't want people to think, hey, you're left out of the group because you don't know the song, perfectly. I want everybody to have the opportunity to come out and play it if you want to. I should emphasize more if you want to, but anyway.
I just remembered something. When did we play that show, that gala of like the
Oh yeah.
the rich, like all the oil?
Yeah,
barons?
we played a lot of. They had one of these big fancy things, gala things, and they had a Japanese theme, and it was at one of the big hotels in Dallas, and all fancy stuff. And
Yeah,
but go
anyway.
ahead.
I wouldn't really say it's positive, but it was certainly memorable. But they wanted me. They took me aside. I had to play by myself for I think about an hour.
Why did they take you aside?
I was just freestyling in front of this big huge crowd that's coming by.
I think you're overstating. What it was that we played outside, and then they had the people out there drinking and all that, and then they had dinner. So they said, hey, we want you to play as people go from the bar into the rest part where they're eating. And so Aaron was in the part where they were eating, and I thought it was going to be 15, 20 minutes, and everybody would be sitting down. But it did kind of drag on for about an hour before everybody got in and sat down. And so
we're very much an ensemble, so it was a new experience. I can give it that much.
So can we talk a little bit about repertoire? Taikos have very complicated rules about repertoire, and you've talked about how your sister studies group has gifted some of the songs. How did that process work?
Well, again,
They did some of the UQ members taught them directly, didn't they?
right.
Yeah, so-
Initially, a long time ago, some of the UQ members came from Japan over here, and they actually taught us the songs.
Yeah, the original members. Yeah.
The original members. And unlike Ashley and Delaney, who could read, there is music. And Aaron, too. Aaron can read it. I can't read it. I don't know, But we do have music, so he can learn from the music. And then, a lot of times, too, like our new song that we just learned, Shimpu, was written by Kodo, which is one of the world famous taiko groups. And they actually had online videos where they broke down the song and the various parts and all that. So we have various ways of learning the songs. And then, for me, and maybe a lot of our members, the most important way to learn a song is by endless repetition. Playing the song over and over and over again. So.
Yeah. So how are the non-gifted songs picked? Who picks it, and how does that process work?
Well, the like I said, we play 2 Kodo songs, so we know those from there.
Fair use, yeah.
Yeah, fair. They're fair use. Kodo's very good about some of their songs. They allow people to play them without copyright infringement and all that kind of stuff. So so we see songs from them that we'll learn from those songs. And generally, again, usually the songs that were gifted to us.
A few of them we just learned off tapes. I'm not sure where we got those.
Yeah, we just had some tapes of all taiko songs.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, so it's a various ways of us learning the songs.
Do members write music in this group?
We one of our 4 members we mentioned before, Sean. He wrote a song, but we stopped playing that song.
Yeah.
So.
But I would encourage people like Delaney and Ashley.
It's encouraged. Oh, I don't write music. I do not write music. I play.
Delaney, she's like a music expert. She can write a song.
I've been working on trying to arrange something. But
Oh,
we'll
good.
see.
Yeah, are there disagreements about songs? Like, if like, how does a new song get into the repertoire? Like, is there a discussion in the group? Is there this, yeah.
In recent years, Casey, who's been with the group for about over 10 years now, it's usually Casey, hey, I found this song. Let's learn it. And I'm usually, yeah, let's learn it. So it's usually.
We're pretty harmonious, I think.
Yeah.
And we usually leave it up to Casey. She's has a good ear for that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, usually a lot of us, we're just eager to try something new if someone brings it.
I know just based on the little bit of experience that I have that just based on what I've heard people say too, it's like, oh, we have enough people to play this song now. So it's like there's so many different parts that you need the full group to do it.
Yeah.
Or I remember after Tony and I joined and Delaney and some other people who had joined also fairly like within the last year or so. I heard Casey say, oh, we have a bunch of really good people now, so we can like ramp up the difficulty a little bit and play some songs that are more challenging that we couldn't have played before we had more people who were capable of it.
Right.
So it has to do a little bit with the group's numbers and abilities as well. And whether we can do things with the additional instruments makes a difference too. So there was a performance. How did this start? We were doing the historic jail performance.
Oh, yeah.
The museum performance, and Casey is normally the one who plays the fouet. That's she's a flute player. She's been doing that for a long time anyway. And she wasn't going to be able to be there, and so that eliminates a bunch of the songs that we have because the song doesn't work without the flute part. And I was like, oh well, I've played some woodwinds before. How do you hold it? And so again, it's like an instrument I've never picked up before. It's similar to some other things. I've played flute, I've played oboe, I've played recorder. So I was like, can you give me a fingering chart? And she was like, no, but the first note is this one. It's the one finger, whatever. Sound it out from there. I'm like, oh, okay. And I was like, okay, we're performing this in a week. Got it. I'm on it. And I went home.
She did a great job.
And so now that's another reason why we're doing this other class is to make sure that we can have other backup players on these other instruments in addition to because it's nice to have the chappas as flavor for a song, but we can't always afford to have somebody play those because that takes someone off a drum.
Mentioned the fouet. One of our favorite songs, favorite crowd songs, is the theme for Naruto, which is a anime series, and Aaron laughs at me because I now say the same thing at all these shows. Is there anybody out there that knows anything about Japanese anime? And do you know about the Naruto? And of course, everybody's. And we're gonna play the theme song to Naruto. So, anyways, that's a kind of a unique song we learned from just out of nowhere. But like I said, I think the crowd really enjoys it because a lot of the kids knows that theme song to that Naruto.
Well, and since you mentioned anime, and you have mentioned before we started the official video interview that you've played at anime conferences. That's a relatively new development in anime conferences. What was that experience like?
It was hot because it's outside in the summer. But it was other than that, it was a lot like our other shows. There's a lot more people around wearing costumes, cosplaying. Yeah, I wish we could have played inside, but there's not enough room again.
Yeah, one of the largest anime conventions was here in Fort Worth for a while. I don't know if they're still doing it, but we went and played a couple of times there. And as Aaron stated, one time we played outside. It was really quite warm. But one time we played inside, which was nice. But anyway.
Yeah. So. Do you get to interact with anyone really interesting?
At these anime conventions, sometimes, they always have these authors and people there, and so, we'll get of course, we get to go to the show free because that was our payment basically, is free admission to the anime convention and everything. So, the hardest time we had is one time we had to getting our drums into the place.
Sometimes it's kind of a bit of a hassle. We got to go through like 3 service elevators down like
Right.
a mile of corridors or something.
You know, again, you know, since Casey really takes care of all the musical stuff, I kind of, you know, to me is the logistic part of it, you know, getting the drums there, getting them where they have to be and all that is kind of fallen on me to do. And that sometimes is a challenge, but we always seem to get it done somehow.
Yeah.
So in the next 3 to 5 years, is there some project that you want to do? So what are your dreams in the next, you know, reasonable amount of time, 3 to 5 years?
I'll let these young people speak. I just want to be living in 5 years from now. You know, I just turned 70, so, you know, I keep asking here, I said, I don't know how much longer I can do this, but I hope to play as long as I can.
I've seen older people playing.
Don't embarrass me. But yeah, I hope to play as long as I can because I enjoy it so much. You know, but, you know, I know my days or my years are maybe being numbered. So that's why I really appreciate these younger people joining so they can carry on our group. And but that's what I hope. You know, that when I can no longer hit a drum, that we have people here that can carry on.
Well, I mean, I think something we all really want to do is go back to Japan, at least you know, take a vacation as a group. But ideally, it'd be we'd play over there, probably you know, over in Nagaoka like we did in the last year's, well, last 2 times we went. And I also want to get the you know, like collaborations with the other groups around here. That's the 2 main things.
So
And-
when you tour Japan, do you bring your own drums or do you use?
We played on their drums.
On
over
their
there.
drums.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
It's,
that logistics nightmare would be.
That would be too
Yeah.
much of a
No, I was just
logistic.
wondering, like, I mean,
It is-
like if you give like, you know, a concert or something, you can definitely use their drums, but like if there are like thousands of people playing at the same time,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
more of a
Yeah.
problem.
yeah, they had enough first.
We played twice at the airport. Once when there was some like 20th anniversary American flying in Japan, and then once when JAL had their inaugural flight to Japan. And getting the drums through security over there was a nightmare. And you know, you think I thought they were going to open up the drums to see if there was anything inside of them, you know, but we finally got all the drums through.
One of the things we talked about doing in Japan is workshop with Kodo, because they'll allow you can like hire them for the day to work with the group. So that was very appealing to me. I would also love to just tour Japan and play with other taiko performers in Japan, but that would be really cool.
Yeah, I think I'd like to just see us continue to grow and develop, maybe finally get enough money, maybe some grants so we can get more drums, because we're kind of maxed out on drums right now.
Mhm.
It's a little hard to get new people when you don't have enough drums for them. But yeah, just continuing to grow, continuing to collaborate, learn more. It'd be nice to go to Japan, do some workshops, master classes.
Have you thought of building your own drums? Because that's, I mean, a lot of American groups do that, so.
You know, we mentioned Sean a couple times now. That's what he does, and so he and I are still friends. And so when one of our drums needs some repair, I always lean on him to help us get it repaired. So, but yeah, you know, that's something I might, when I retire from my real job, you know, maybe I love woodworking and stuff. I mean, I make my own bocce sticks, which is not that hard to do, but I would love to do something like that and make a drum. You know, the traditional way of in fact, every time I drive by, I see a tree that's fallen. I said, that would make a great taiko drum. Because the traditional way of making a taiko drum is like a whole, stump, and you hollow it out. We have a couple of drums that are like that. Yeah.
So, are there things that you want to talk about that I haven't asked?
Let's talk about the election. No. No, I don't. No, let's not do that.
Okay. Out of curiosity, I'm sorry, I just thought of this. How do you practice at home? So you don't have drums at home. How do you practice? What do you use to practice at home?
Drum practice pads, but we also, there's ways to like make practice drums. Either you can use like tire and like cover it with like masking tape
Yeah,
or
we have one,
plastic.
and if you want to see it, what it looks like.
Yeah, take PVC, like a big
Yeah.
PVC pipe and like put a drum head on it.
So there are ways to.
Yeah.
I was beating the crap out of a pillow for a while, but
That's what I do.
It's really hard, and I didn't have anything to put it on, so I couldn't practice jumping around and doing the stances and stuff that you're supposed to. So I finally bought a drum practice pad and a drum stand. So that's what I do now. So now I can fully practice.
And again, like I said before, we're very, very fortunate that we have a place to practice and store our drums, where, again, we can have regularly scheduled practices and not have to worry about, a place to play and all that. We mentioned Sean. They don't have a place to play at all. They meet in the park. The Dallas group has to rent a facility when they practice. So we are very extremely fortunate to have a place here to store our drums and to practice when we want to practice.
Yeah,
Can you, sorry, go ahead.
I say we do pay dues for storage and
Right.
usage, but it's very reasonable. It's probably way better deal than anybody else around is getting.
Mhm. Yeah. So can you talk about how this partnership with the Japanese American Society came to be?
The Fort Worth Japanese Society?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This one, yeah.
Yeah, well, again, that Fort Worth Japanese Society started about 10 years before Taiko. And it was started mainly because there was a large contingency of Japanese people living in the area, mainly women who had come over here after World War II and with their Air Force husbands. And so it was actually started by Mr. Yamagata, who was actually one of the founders of Radio Shack. And so he and his wife, there's pictures up over there of them, started this organization. And so it just kept on going. And their son, Harvey Yamagata, kind of took over when they passed away. And so, like I said, in about 1995, Sako Cosby, who became a member, she wanted to start a taiko group. And so the Fort Worth Japanese Society assisted with that and helped out, and like I said, they always were very generous with giving us room to practice. So we have a very close relationship. And actually, all of our drums are owned by the Fort Worth Japanese Society. So we have a very close. I for years was on the board of directors of the society. It just recently got off. And so but we still have a very close connection with them.
So what else happens at this center?
Here?
Yeah.
Well, there's several things that we do. The main thing that the Fort Worth Japanese Society does is that we have monthly meetings right in here's room. They all come. We have a couple, 2 or 3 women that prepare a luncheon for us. It's usually some kind of traditional Japanese meal that we prepare. Sometimes that we'll have speakers come in and talking about various Japanese related cultural things. I saw a picture. Oh, there she is right there. Does the Japanese, what do you call that? The plant arrangement?
Ikebana.
Yeah. And so she came and talked to us, and We have various organizations that come and talk to us about something about Japanese related. So that's our main thing, is our monthly meetings that we have here. So, and plus it's just a way for the people who, first of all, who are Japanese descent to kind of meet. And,
The way you mentioned that, they have Japanese language classes.
oh, yes, that's
Yeah.
right. The other thing we do is we offer Japanese language classes too. So we, it's been a very good relationship, with them. Very easy to work with.
Anything else? Okay. Thank you very much.
Well, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
That's great.